Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for watching. I've got you guys an update on a very big storm system that is currently expected to move through the central and eastern United States. And this storm has a chance to bring some big time severe weather and some snowfall to the United States. I've got all the latest details coming right up. Right, so thank you all for joining me here on this Wednesday night. We don't have much to talk about, but we are going to be going over this next upcoming storm system that we're tracking, as well as what we can expect going into March as we get closer to the final days of February. All right, so take a look here. As always, we're looking at your current radar, and you can see we don't have much going on other than this just big band of rainfall that's moving over portions of the north central United States. We're actually going to be dealing with a very small storm system, very minor storm system that's going to be bringing some precipitation in the northeast. We're going to briefly go over that. Really, other than that, you got nothing much. I mean, some leftover energy that's bringing some rainfall north of upstate New York, but there has been some very light, like just some rain showers out there into upstate New York. Nothing really that you have to worry about. And then finally, out here on the West Coast, the remnants of that big atmospheric river, it's finally kind of just deteriorating as we speak right now. So nothing to really talk about as far as that goes. All right, so let's switch over here to your alerts. Nothing really to make mention of. Red flag warnings actually, thankfully, have actually been taken down, so we no longer have red flag warnings up for Texas. So now, guys, the map just looks so much more calm. This is great, guys. I know it's boring and some people like action with weather, and I do too, but it's kind of nice just to get a few breaks in here and there. But I definitely think that we're going to get active more and more. You still got winter storm warnings though for southern Utah, but I mean these are really the mountainous regions, upper elevations of Utah and northern Colorado, southern Wyoming. In the pink shade, you got your winter storm warnings. In the purple shade, you've got winter weather advisories. So that's basically what's going on out there in the mountain region of the western United States. You got high wind warnings going up for these might actually be high wind watches, but I believe these are high wind. Let me check. 1 second, guys. Yep, these are high wind watches that are going out for portions of northwestern Montana. So just be aware of that. It will be very windy still. I know that's an area that's been really hammered by these big windstorms lately. So be on the lookout for some strong winds out in that region. All right. So let's get rolling here. Taking a look at the NAM 3 kilometer model for the northeast. We've got a minor storm coming up that's nothing too big, but I mean, you've got a low pressure here, a low pressure center with a storm that's moving in. This is going to be all rain for really everybody until we see this become influenced by the cold air. All right, and you can see that this is what is this, tomorrow at 8 p.m. So we're getting into the nighttime hours of tomorrow, and you're starting to see some rain move up through Ohio. This is going to be moving into southern PA as basically just light to moderate rainfall, maybe some spotty flurries, or maybe some isolated freezing rain showers, if you want to put it that way. That's possible in the Boston area, which is interesting, but we actually do see a band here of freezing rain, which will be very light, but maybe some sleet, some freezing rain out there in Massachusetts before this comes on in. And we can actually start to see some light to moderate snow breaking out over portions of northern Connecticut, southern New York State. I would watch out for that, guys. I do think that could actually accumulate. Nothing too crazy. I wouldn't expect anything too crazy with that, but I think it's possible you may end up with a few light accumulations in the area at least. All right, and then everyone else, farther south is staying as all rain with this system. And I mean, we're getting to 3 a.m. on your Friday morning, and it's starting to snow actually in Boston, which is interesting because I don't think that we were expecting the snow to be this far south. The track of the storm was really shifted further south, and the moisture return hasn't been great with this system. It's not bringing up enough moisture, so you guys up north the storm is pulling away from you guys. So it's more going to be focused farther south, and I do think that's going to lower the chance for snowfall. But still, snow could be falling across portions of southern New Hampshire, southern Vermont, maybe even into Maine here as this turns over to more of a winter storm. But this is still 11 a.m. Friday. You still got another band of rainfall to go through from New York State to Long Island. Very light rainfall accumulations there, like I wouldn't say accumulations, but definitely just totals on your rainfall. Nothing that's too crazy before that cold front replaces all that warm air, and then the storm just gets a little stronger offshore because obviously happens with these storms. They exit the northeastern United States and they get very strong because they're moving over those Atlantic waters. But yeah, after that, maybe some very light flurries are possible here and there, but that's nothing that's really notable. They have to just watch out for your Thursday and Friday. All right. So here we go. We're comparing the GFS. We're going to compare the GFS and the European model. I haven't done an update in like a day or two, and I did speak about there was a signal for a storm system, a significant storm system on the GFS and the European model a few days ago. Well, that storm system now, the threat for it continues to increase, and so now I think we definitely can say that we will see a significant storm system, but we're not close enough to get into the juicy details on what's going to happen. All right, it's not a forecast, but we're comparing the models here. All right, so this year pattern right now, it's a very wild pattern where you get temperature swings. You get dips in the jet stream, cold blasts, nice Arctic fronts that come down from Canada. They spill into the northern United States. Then you get a ridge here that bumps up this jet stream. And notice how you got a big storm coming out of the west. This is all the energy that we're taking away. We got a big storm coming out of the west. But notice how you already have a 988 millibar low, okay? When you get a low that formed early, two things can happen. One, if you get a weak moisture return, which I'll talk about soon, it's when talk about in a bit. But if you get a weak moisture return, all right, then that low that forms way too early, then it most likely will deteriorate as it moves across the region. But if you get a strong moisture return, then the low may be able to continue moving across the United States because it's got just that big moisture feed. All right. So your jet stream is very wonky. It's bumping up pretty high and just got a lot of energy and moisture coming out of the Pacific. So there goes your first low, and actually it ejects across the northern tier of the United States and moves out. But you still got a little bit of rainfall there across the Ohio Valley. Does that do anything? Well, I'm personally thinking that these two pieces of energy may merge together. This is interesting, but I think it's an idea, and the GFS and the European model have been tingling with that idea. All right, the European tonight has been in support of that, and the GFS was a few days ago. But this is what the latest GFS is showing. All right, this is your Wednesday of next week, so this is about a week out, guys. This is 1 in the morning, and you've got a 991 millibar low that's forming a little bit later, which is better for a storm system in terms of strength-wise. And then also, it's starting out pretty far south, and it's got a lot of snow built into this. This is going to be a pretty big winter storm for you guys in the Rockies, in the mountainous regions of the western United States. If this were to happen on the GFS, you got a lot of warm air in front of this, guys. This is going to be a favorable setup for thunderstorms, rainfall, and severe thunderstorms. So if you are looking for snow, you don't want to be anywhere in this area. I don't think that this area has any shot at seeing snow from this system. You got to be behind this 540 line. If not, you're just too warm. The atmosphere behind that warm front is going to be just loaded with moisture. All right. So this is Wednesday of next week, and you still got a lot of northern energy, and weird things are going on. You're seeing splits of low pressures. So you got one down here. This is a good time to stop here. You got one low pressure center down here that's coming down from the northwest, and then you've got one way up here into Canada. Watch what happens. This piece of energy kind of hangs around a little bit, and it almost feeds into this one because you can see kind of the flow of the energy right here with these isobars. I mean, that's pretty interesting, but I think what may happen is this is going to be a separate storm system. This is just going to kind of detach a little bit and kind of form into this, whatever we get out of this 995 deepening low pressure center. It sounds very complicated. It's very weird. This is going to be a tricky forecast, guys. And remember, this right here is not a forecast. This is going to change. But it's going to be a tricky forecast when we can get to that point. So I really don't know exactly what's going to happen with this. But what do we see on the GFS? Well, we see these storm systems continue to split, but I think we got a pretty central, just like a strong, packed together storm system that's coming through right now. This is Thursday of so this is 7 p.m. Wednesday here. All right, and you've got what looks like a severe weather event that would happen here across the Ohio Valley. Look at that, those reds there, those yellows. Whenever you get that on the GFS model, especially in a medium to long range, just storm here, that's a sign for severe weather, and we see that really stretching across the lower Midwest and areas to the west of the Ohio Valley. So I think that's going to be a big situation. We can actually see some of that continuing across Ohio. All right, and then this is where we get another split. We're seeing so much different. We have so many different things that are kind of moving in different directions. We've got another split in the storm system. So now this actually forms two new low pressure centers. Notice this. We go from a 996 millibar low to a 1,000 millibar and 1,002 millibar low. This is a pretty wild scenario, pretty crazy. But we have a pretty extensive dip in the jet stream. This is a trough that's digging down here in the western United States, bringing very cold air in, but it's also going to be trying to pick up these storms farther and push them farther north. So I think that we're going to see definitely less precipitation in the southeast, and I think that severe weather actually may end up missing the southeast, but rather a little bit farther to the north, which actually that's going to be impacting one of those areas that I did highlight in my severe weather forecast, which you can check out in my spring and summer forecast, which is on my homepage of my channel. But I just want to point out that I do think that similar area is going to be dealing with severe weather from the system. All right, so here we go. We're getting to Thursday, and this low can do two things. All right, this one can strengthen, all right, as it moves across the United States, or it could just kind of just stay around like this. I don't think that this would weaken because it's trying to take on that negative tilt. It's trying to take on a negative tilt, which means that it is a strengthening system. So I do think this will end up strengthening. But this would probably be like a second or third round storm because look at this. I mean, there's that first one, okay? And then here comes your second one. That's your second one. This is like a third round. So you could say this is a third or second round storm system. It's a very weird setup here, but I mean, this one just doesn't do much. It kind of it tries to do something here with a pretty nasty, wintry mix for areas in the upper Midwest towards the north central plains. The high plains here actually dumps a lot of snow over Nebraska, western Iowa, southern sections of South Dakota, but it just fails to do much, and it kind of spins around out here. And this probably would become a upper level low that just brings some precipitation in the eastern United States, and it just continues to spin with cold air just continuing to wrap in around that system. And this is very strange, but this just falls apart as it spins around out there, and it continues to weaken. We get this up to a 1,015 millibar low, which not even really low pressure is what I would consider. But yeah, it moves out. So the GFS not really showing anything that would be too terrible, but what we're more concerned about, I would say, on the GFS is really the severe weather with that second round storm or the first round. If you would consider this piece of energy a storm system, then that second storm would be the time or just the maker of that severe weather event. And if you're wondering for the timing, that's probably going to be between either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. And I do think the SPC will definitely make mention of this. I just think that severe weather is going to be a big part of that. All right, so yeah, that's the GFS model on that system. All right, what about the European model? Well, we'll see what happens here with the European model. All right, and then we got the same setup with the GFS and the European model, same jet stream setup, which it's good agreement there. Let me get rid of that. Oh gosh, what is going on here? There we go. All right, here we go. So there goes that low, and you actually see it forming pretty early, but this gets pretty strong earlier than the GFS. The GFS had this down to what I think it was a 991 millibar low, something like that. The European model takes it down to a 983 millibar low, and it's still way up here into the Dakotas here. All right, so very strong storm, very early. You got a lot of precipitation, but there's that split, and we see this. Does this take off? Yes, it does, and it weakens as well. But you still got that rain over the Great Lakes, and you got snow and energy way up here in Canada. That's an agreement on the GFS and the European model. So this is that second storm. All right, this is that second one. This is a 984 millibar low. Once again, a deepening low pressure center. And GFS, remember the GFS didn't really have this doing much, but European model has us down to a 990 millibar low, and it does bring, it does just come through as a winter storm for areas of the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and down south. Gets a severe weather event or just a thunderstorm event in general. Just a lot of rain in that warm sector, but you see these like tiny bubbles here of just like red, orange, or not reds, but yellows and oranges there. Those are thunderstorms. That's basically where you see this. That's an area that the European model is highlighting for a chance for the severe weather event that we're talking about. So wherever that appears most intense is where the European model wants the highest threat for severe weather in this case. All right, click for a photograph here. I don't know if actually we can't get sounding. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's that first system. And does it do anything else after that? Well, it tries to. It gets a little bit stronger, still a 991 millibar low, but it brings a lot of snow. This is the thing that we will have to talk about is snow. There still will be some areas impacted by snow, still some frozen precipitation up there north of the Great Lakes. But anybody behind this 540 line inside that warm sector is going to stay as all rain. So it's going to be a small area, but I think there will be an area that will see snow. That's for the upper Midwest on this run of the European model. And that storm continues to strengthen as you see a lot of cold air just continue to wrap around into that low pressure center as this trough digs down farther south and then continues to just kind of pull this storm up to the north. What we see here is we actually do see the severe weather stretched down into the southeast. We actually get a line of severe weather, which you could argue that this would be a squall line here of thunderstorms that really extends all the way from Ohio down to Alabama. So pretty impressive there on the European model. This, I think, will be a significant severe weather event. All right, I'm just not sure what magnitude this will be. All right, before this continues to move out, and then this moves into the northeast. 989 millibar low doesn't bring much, as far as impacts go to the northeast. Still some heavy rainfall, maybe some thunderstorms over there by Thursday, and then that moves out. So I think the European model, because it wants this kind of to slow down as it moves over the Great Lakes to strengthen, it wants the timing for this to be like 6 to 12 hours after or later than the GFS model. So that's a time agreement, and also with the storms. I mean, the GFS and the European model agree on that first storm kind of going way out into Canada. They agree on the second storm, except that the GFS wants this to not really do much, but the European model wants it to strengthen and deepen. And then the GFS shows a third minor system after that one. European model does not show anything after that, because look at this. The trough has already moved through. Dry line has probably swept through this area. And you just don't really have anything favorable for storms after that. So that was the European model. All right, some big time model of disagreement there. All right, now it's time to break down the severe weather. So we got to figure out, looking at this, we got to figure out where the kinematics, the thermodynamics, and just all the just all the elements of severe weather when they come together, and we just got to figure out where that happens the most, where those things overlap. All right, so we're going to look at dynamics. We're going to look at heights here, which we're looking at in just a bit, and we're going to look at moisture. All right, so we're going to start out here with your winds up in the atmosphere. I've put this out to 108 hours out, where you have this northern stream energy. This is the northern jet stream here. This is where you have the ridge that's way up here, all the way up into Canada. This is your Pacific jet stream, your South Pacific jet stream, still amplified due to El Nino. All right, what you're looking for is energy. The more energy, the more the more winds up there, and then if you can get strong enough winds, and in that case, if you get changing heights, all right, that's where you can get a tornado threat. All right, so we're gonna be looking for strong winds, and just strong winds in general. All right, up in the atmosphere. So this is what we see here. This is your trough that's digging down to pick up the storm system. This is the the winds that are coming out with that storm system, these are not on the ground. These winds are not on the surface. These are way up into the atmosphere, like 19,000 feet above your head. All right. And so here it comes, and this is the trough digging down. But you can see right here, we already got a jet that's about 80 to 90 knots up in the atmosphere here, and this is really getting strong and just amplified over New Mexico. I mean, you can even see these reds here into Texas, and then all the way up towards the Ohio River Valley. We could see a 70 to 80 mile an hour, not mile an hour, a 70 to 80 knot jet stream here, and that's certainly strong enough to support severe weather. And what we see here is this gets very strong, and notice how it's farther north. All right, the European model. Look at this. We'll switch this over. This is the OVSI. This was earlier today. Look at that difference. Hold up. Let me get this rolling for you guys. I want you guys to notice the difference of, just the position of where that trough gets very strong. Look at it. Gets strong way down here into Arkansas. All right, that's much farther south than what the European model was saying tonight on the 12Z here. All right, let's get this going. And this is the time frame where we saw the OZ European model showing this getting very strong over Arkansas. This is only up to a 70 to 80 knot jet stream, all right? But it gets stronger right over the Midwest here. And this is that area farther north. This is up into Illinois. So, if you got a like 110, 120 knot jet stream here, that's considered a very strong jet stream, all right? This storm at this point would be taking on that negative tilt look to it, and then if you take this farther, if you take this earlier, this would be a positively tilted, or this would probably be a neutrally tilted, a slightly positively tilted trough before that goes right to a negatively tilted trough, which at this point this is a strengthening storm system. But the fact that this may continue on to a different region and then maybe for a second day of severe weather is because you see this. You see the jet stream just continue to really get strong here, and it gets all the way up to about 120, 125 knots right here around Indiana, Michigan, before that moves out to the northeast. But man, that's definitely a strong jet stream. And then I really do think that, the fact that you're going to see very strong winds in your upper levels of the atmosphere levels, but I really do think that this is going to support the severe threat in general, but I do think tornadoes and damaging wind gusts, it's going to be a big thing with this storm system if you see the jet stream become this strong, all right? So now we go to the flip side of things. Now we look at your surface dew points. So this basically shows you how loaded the air around you is with moisture, all right? So what you want to see is you're looking for the area that we noticed had the signal for the strongest jet stream winds. We want to see that area on top of what we see with the highest dew points here, which to support severe weather, severe thunderstorms, generally you need a dew point over 60 degrees. That's enough to support severe thunderstorms. You very rarely get dew points over 70 degrees, but if you get that can support long track severe thunderstorms. All right. So this is your moisture feed right here. This is going up. This is building up way into the eastern United States. This is that warm sector that we're talking about. It's going to be huge. It's going to be broad. And this gets up pretty high. You're getting dew points up in the 50s all the way up to Illinois, up to Ohio. This is already letting you know that you're going to see a severe threat much higher than you usually see. This is February, guys. It's supposed to be snowing, like feet of snow out here in this region. We're talking about severe weather, all right? But these high dew points are actually in Texas. This is down here into eastern Texas where we're seeing dew points really climb into the lower to mid 60s, up into Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas. This whole area here in blue, those are dew points in the lower 60s. That is definitely enough to support severe thunderstorms. And we actually see dew points getting in the 60s into Illinois. Gosh, that's very far north considering what month we're in now. But these are plenty of states that are getting in on upper 50s and then lower 60s in your dew points. If you see this, guys, if you were to see this this would support this would support a significant severe weather event. And taking a look at just the 500 millibar wind speeds, and now the dew points. I mean, remember we saw the very strong jet stream really over Illinois. I'll circle the area. I just saw I saw we saw the strongest jet stream winds in this area. All right, we saw in that area. But look at the dew points. They're in the 60s up in Illinois, and that's exactly in the same area. So put those two things together, and boom, there you go. You have maybe a hot spot, or just a pinpointed area for an area that just may end up with the highest threat for severe weather. But remember, it's not a forecast, all right? But this is a strong signal that putting those two things together, the thermodynamics and the dynamics of the atmosphere, all right, you just get a very strong signal for. I would say the European model. On the European model, the Euro wants the high severe threat really somewhere into here. All right, I think that this is a typical area that you usually see in springtime severe weather events. I'm not saying that by all means, I'm not saying that we're gonna get up to a high risk, but I'm just saying that this is kind of a similar area to the high risk day that we saw back on March 31st. All right, that's a pretty similar area that was really extending from the southern plains all the way up to the Midwest. All right. Obviously, once again, most likely, definitely won't get up to that high of a risk, but just the same general area, and that was in the severe weather season of May. All right. But we'll see how high up farther north these dew points climb. All right, and you can see we're still seeing 60s all the way up to Missouri here, all the way up to Illinois, but still very high up in the 50s here, all the way up to Michigan, all the way up to the Ohio Valley, and then this would probably get into the Northeast. Another big thing, though, with long track storms, and this would also slow down the storm activity and the convection, is this dry line. If this dry line moves faster, let's say, and it moves off to the east with that trough, if the trough moves faster, you're going to see this dry line move faster, and this dry line is just going to sweep through these storms and kind of just like uppercut them from behind, if you want to put it that way. And basically, it's just going to really minimize that chance for storm activity, because these dew points back here with the dry line, I mean, you're in the single digits, and that's dry air. All right. But how high do these dew points get? Well, you can see the dry line does influence these dew points. It just kind of flattens on top of it, and we still see a little section here of Alabama still hanging on the 60s in the dew points. And then if you're way out here to the east on the eastern seaboard, you're still in those 50s and 40s for your dew points. But for areas that are off towards the central, like the south central United States, that dry line is really going to kill you if you're looking for severe thunderstorms with this system, because it's just, if that trough can move faster, then the dry line will move faster, and you can actually see that happening right here. Here it is. Here it comes. I mean, this is the dry line right here. That's the front of it, and boom, it just sweeps right through these storms. All right. So I hope that made sense with that severe weather breakdown. Now we're gonna go a little bit farther here into March. We're just gonna look at what we can expect going forward. So this is your monthly temperature outlook here on the Weather Prediction Center. We're expecting above average in the northwest, the northeast, the northern tier of the country. Equal chances there for temperatures here in the central United States, both above and below average are possible. And in the southern United States, we're expecting below average temperatures. Pretty simple, but on paper, it's just it's gonna look when you look at the models, it's gonna look pretty active. All right, if you want to put it that way. But here we go. We look at the models. Here's the GFS. We'll take a look just what's gonna be happening after the system. So there it goes. And there's nothing that's been really notable, but we do see a lot of energy flying around, very active in the west. I think that's going to be something to watch. Also, a lot of energy in the Gulf. The Gulf has been heating up very frequently. A lot of just moisture out there. But yeah, That's pretty much it. So that's all I got. That's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video. So I'll keep you guys posted on what we see. With the models and just the trends with that storm system. Stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have notifications on because I will be frequently updating you guys on that storm system because we really got to figure that out. We just got to make sure that everyone's aware of the situation that we're in because I do think severe weather will be a pretty big threat with that system. All right, my spring and summer forecast is out, so if you haven't already, go ahead and check that out. That is on the front page of my YouTube channel. All right, and that's pretty much it. I also do think I just want to say this. I personally do think that getting into March, severe weather is going to ramp. I think it's going to ramp up, and I do think that severe weather will be very, very active, especially towards the first week of April. It's very far out, but I really have a hunch that that we open the doors to severe weather season, I think that we're gonna go nuts, and I think that we're gonna see multiple notable severe weather events. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to, hype anything up because we don't even know what's going to happen really. I'm just saying that I personally think that we are going to see a ramp up in severe weather into the spring season. All right. So thank you all for coming to watch, and I'll see you guys in the next video.